Protection Guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-351-8614. That's 800-351-8614. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-351-8614.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bob Marshall, PhD, host of Healthline. Our great product on special is Quantum Hair, Skin, Nails, solubilized keratin. It effectively supports skin moisture, elasticity, and compactness. Experience the difference between this powerhouse and using ordinary collagen. Buy 2 bottles and get the third one free. Call 800-370-3447.
Listen to Healthline daily at 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 p.m. Eastern on CRN.
Welcome to Divine Love Talk with Dr. Parthenia Grant, where we talk about health, well-being, and the love of the divine that exists in all of us. Now, here's your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant.
All right, this is an historic moment for Divine Love Talk because this is the first time that I actually have Kim Michaels in studio, live, face-to-face. We've got live video feed of him. And he was in town this weekend doing a conference on love versus anti-love and anchoring some new light and some new energy and some new thoughts into the minds and the morphogenetic feel of America. It was so exciting, just so thrilling and liberating. I wish you guys could have been there, but we are going to be putting up some tidbits of it, video clips and sound bites of it on, Kim Michaels' website and on my YouTube channel. So stay tuned for some of the highlights of the Ascended Master Conference for Los Angeles. So Kim Michaels, welcome live in studio.
Thank you, Parthenia. It's good to be here and not have the Skype delay,
Right? Yeah, it's almost like, 30-second or 5-second delay?
No, it's just a few seconds, but it's enough that you don't really want to interrupt people. So now I'm going to interrupt you if I feel like it,
Absolutely. Because there were so many wonderful insights. And today I wanted to focus on, how America can take democracy to a new level. There were some very cogent, very profound, and quite simple insights that were revealed to us that I personally was already aware of, and I've been kind of pushing these concepts on Facebook for about 1.5 years. So I'd like for you to lead off that discussion and talk about, share some of the new insights.
Well, let's just be frank first, because it's not just in America that people are dissatisfied with their government. It's the same in Europe where I live. And I think it's simply a very obvious why. Because democracy wasn't forced on people, right? You can force a dictatorship on people, but if a certain number of people aren't ready for democracy, you can't force it on them. So that means that the people had to be attuned to the founding fathers when they created American democracy. Right. And that means that if you look at the people today and their dissatisfaction, they are attuned to one simple fact, that the current state of democracy is past its due date.
Ah, right. Amen.
And that's why we need to say, listen to the people and their dissatisfaction. They may not know why they're dissatisfied, but they feel that something isn't right. And that's why we need to look at democracy and say, this is not a static state. It's not like the founding fathers in 1776 could create the perfect system that's going to work for all time. Right. We have evolved so much. Technology has gone so far beyond what they could even imagine. Right. And so we can do things today that they couldn't do back then. Yes. Communication was so poor back then compared to now that they had to create a representative democracy. Okay. There's no other way, right? Yes. But today we have the technology, and why not let the people vote on the issues rather than letting the representatives?
Directly. Yeah. What a concept. And I'm seeing, especially on Facebook and social media, where people are so frustrated now because the representatives are not hearing their voices. Like most recently, the forced vaccination of all children who attend public schools. I mean, the Million Mothers, all over social media, so many different organizations. I mean, they let their voice be heard, and they were very, very clear. We do not want the government forcing, issues about our health and our body. We want the right to decide. And then they push the legislation through, anyway. And the people just felt, the leaders, like I talked with some of them, and they felt so disempowered, and it was like a slap in the face. And it's like, so what kind of democracy is this? If you're not listening to us and we show up in, huge numbers and you just ignore us.
Well, it is a contradiction that you vote for representatives and then they can come and force something on you.
Yes, and just ignore us.
Yeah, we got to find a way to deal with that.
Okay.
And I think the only way is to let the people be heard more, and that's what we can do with technology today. I mean, they've done it in Switzerland for many years. There are other countries in Europe.
Tell us what you mean. What
are
they doing?
In Switzerland, they have it so that they have representatives in parliament.
Okay.
But there are certain issues that are considered big, important issues.
For the people.
Yes, and they have to be decided by a direct public referendum.
Really?
And they used to do it by phone or by people showing up and voting for these issues.
Okay.
But today we have the internet, and that can make it much easier for people.
Yeah, and what I was pointing out is we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Through the internet, you can create discussions about the issues, and you can also show both sides of it, because our media is quite controlled and manipulated. Not CRN, okay? We actually have free speech here, and we get to show both sides of everything. But through the internet, people can get educated, on all sides of the issue. But we don't even have to reinvent the wheel, because shows like American Idol were groundbreaking, where with your cell phone, you could call in and vote for who you wanted to win. And now so many other shows are doing the same thing. And so I was thinking, with the corruption and voting and all of that, how do we get away from the corruption? Well, when you buy a cell phone from a regular carrier, you have to show a Social Security. You have to have a Social Security number. You have to show your ID that this is who I am. And when you vote, you have to do the same thing. You have to show that I'm not a dead person, although in the 2000 election, dead people voted.
And dead people got elected.
Okay, so, I mean, there's got to be a way to get around this, so that's one idea.
Yeah, but there's some technical challenges, of course, and I'm not an expert on that, but I just know it has to be possible to do this. They have discussed in Denmark, for example, that it's difficult to make you vote over the internet without them being to trace what you vote for.
Exactly.
And in Denmark, they are so concerned about this. You go into the voting booth and nobody's looking over your shoulder.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't even care if somebody knows who I vote for, as long as I can vote directly. I mean, that shouldn't stand in the way if that's a technological catch-22. I don't know that it is. But
yeah, but at the same time, everybody's got a cell phone. Pretty much in third world countries, you see people with cell phones, like all over India. And
but of course, people could have more than one, so there's going to be issues there.
Yeah, that's very true. They can have more than one, and so we'd have to figure out, and the burner phones and all that. But it's not like we're not without solutions.
No, there has to be a technical way to deal with this.
Yeah, and the system is already set up, and there are a lot of ideas out there. So I want to encourage people to start talking about this, and start engaging this concept that we don't have to be forced, forced-fed policies that insult our soul, and that take our freedom of choice away from us.
But I think, what people are feeling today is that they are voting for representatives, and then the representatives don't respect them.
Yes, that's exactly
correct. They do
correct.
whatever they want once they're in there. And I sense that it's almost like people are beginning to realize that when you go through an election campaign, it's like people, the people running, they're putting on this facade and telling people what
everything.
They want to hear. And then when it comes down to politics, they're just sitting there and making decisions completely disrespecting the people.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to get away with, and I don't see any other way than let the people vote. And I know very well that there are people who are going to be say, But the people aren't ready to vote.
Yeah.
It'll be a disaster.
And they're not intelligent enough.
Exactly. And that's probably what they said 200 years ago.
Oh, they did. They did.
Yeah.
Actually, I put on Facebook a couple of weeks ago that John Adams, when his wife was asking, when Abigail was asking him, to allow women to vote, that was a long time ago. And he was like, we have no intention of giving away our male privilege.
Look at that. So when you look at that, you see that even the founding fathers, they were caught up in what I think is the bane of democracy, elitism.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
How insane is it to think that women are not intelligent enough to vote? I mean, give me a break.
But look, John Adams also said that the office of the president was too important of an office to leave it to the people to decide. He said that's why we have the Electoral College. So he was saying, you're not smart enough.
That's another dinosaur from the past, that just needs to be put out to pasture.
Yeah. And I also believe we have the ability with the internet to educate people, because it's been, studies have shown that if you give people the information, like not just one-sided propaganda, but all sides of the issues, then people are able to make informed decisions. Mm-hmm. They cannot make good decisions when there's just one side of the issue that's being promoted.
But, here's how I look at it. We have a democracy that's run by an elite.
Yes.
Are they doing good?
No.
No.
So
how much worse can it be if we let the people vote?
What do you have to lose?
And the way I look at it is, it's not a matter of creating some kind of perfect democracy or some kind of perfect state. Mm-hmm. Life is an evolutionary process. It's a learning process. If the people make mistakes, they will learn from it.
And it's our mistakes, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing I think is a problem here is that a lot of people think that democracy is an easy form of government.
No, you have to take responsibility with democracy.
Yeah, it's the hardest form of government, because if you don't take responsibility as an ordinary person and educate yourself.
Yes, get informed.
Yeah, then democracy is not going to work. But as you said, it's never been easier to educate yourself.
Oh, my goodness. So I think the time is right. I think it's just that the consciousness of the American public, has to shift into, I'm ready to take responsibility on these issues, and I have the ability to inform myself about these issues, and I have the right, to vote and say no or say yes. Because what happened with our democracy is we abdicated responsibility to the representatives, and we believed that they had our best interest at heart.
Of course.
And that was a really big mistake. And I always remember the attorney who prosecuted the Watergate scandal way back with Nixon. He said that the people have to be willing to accept, the very worst possible motives of the people in power. Mm-hmm. And the American people, like when I first started teaching that, 20 years ago, the students were like, well, of course our government has our best interest at heart. Of course. Well, what do you mean? We can't trust our government. And then their whole thing is, but why would they do that? Okay. I mean, it's like, that's the wrong question. They do it because they can. Okay. They do it because it makes them feel powerful. So, you got to ask better questions.
Well, people will do whatever they can get away with.
Exactly.
History proves that.
Over and over and over again.
And that's the whole idea of democracy, is that they shouldn't be able to get away with it.
And
they shouldn't be able to hide.
Yes.
Because you go back in Europe, in the feudal societies, where you very clearly, most of the people were the property of the landowner, and they knew they were enslaved.
Yes.
So you've gotten away from that form of government with democracy.
Overtly.
But the problem is that if we don't know we're enslaved, then democracy can be just as tyrannical as a dictatorship.
And it really is, and yet you still hear people say, yes, but one of the most amazing things about America is we're so free. Okay.
And that is so funny for a person who's not from America.
Well, tell from the standpoint of a European, because when I travel, the Europeans look at us and they ask me, what is wrong with Americans? And I always say, well, they watch Fox TV. What do you want for a nickel? I can't. I am from America, but I don't, read everything. I don't just watch one news channel. So please don't be angry with me, for all of the Americans that don't take responsibility.
Yeah, but I think I've lived in the U.S., so I've been on the receiving end, and I think there is a problem there. We feel we are free, but are we? We're not willing to examine whether we are.
Okay, so let's talk more about that in the next segment. You are listening to Divine Love Talk on CRN. I'm your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant. You can find us on Divine Love Talk on Facebook, and Kim Michaels on Transcendence Toolbox. I'm so excited to have him here in studio, and we're talking about how we can take democracy to the next level. The people, not the representatives. Okay, we will be back with more after commercial break on CRN.
Improve the look of your home for less with hardwood floors from Lumber Liquidators. Choose from over 400 styles of hardwood, bamboo, wood-look tile, and more, all for a lot less than other stores. This week, get gorgeous pre-finished 3/4-inch solid copper Hevia hardwood for $3.29 and more from 99 cents. $2 instant savings on our hottest Bellawood matte-finished hardwood floors. North American and European laminate from 49 cents and more.
And 18-month special financing.
For the floor you want at the price you deserve, visit LumberLiquidators.com to find a store near you.
Welcome to Staples.
Hi, Staples guy. I have to get my kids ready for back to school.
Staples has tons of deals, like one subject notebooks for just 25 cents. So they'll be 110% ready.
Wait a minute. That's 10% more ready than 100% ready.
That's right.
Yeah, I was a math major.
I could tell.
Make low prices happen. Make 110% ready happen. Staples. Make more happen. 2-pocket paper folders are just 15 cents each all season long.
Offer valid in store only while supplies last. Limit 30 per customer. Ends 9/12/15.
CRN travelers, relax at the beautiful Fountain Grove Inn and Conference Center in Santa Rosa, California. Come to quality and come to luxury. Experience the newly renovated guest rooms. They're generously sized and they're decorated in the Tuscan tradition. They have great, incredible pillow-top mattresses, luxurious linens, and down-filled comforters. The Fountain Grove Inn also offers complimentary Wi-Fi and internet access. There's warm cookies and coffee every evening in the hotel lobby, and you can visit the newly remodeled Equus Restaurant and Equus Lounge with its new wine bar. It's the ideal place to relax and enjoy a glass of wine and watch our What's Cooking on Wine show on CRN with host Larry Van Alst on Wednesdays. It's the Fountain Grove Inn, Hotel, and Conference Center located in the heart of Sonoma wine country. It's easily located in Santa Rosa off the 101 Fountain Grove Parkway exit. Call 707-578-6101. That's 707-578-6101 or visit fountaingroveinn.com.
You order a glass of your favorite Cabernet, fresh asparagus, hollandaise on the side, a filet, medium rare. You unfurl your napkin with a flair, close your eyes, and prepare to listen. Ah, there it is. The sweet music you long to hear. The sizzle. The sizzle of a Ruth's Chris steak.
The most magnificent corn-fed prime beef, broiled to perfection at 1800 degrees. Some call it a sizzle. We call it an anthem.
As the waiter approaches, you think, is this one mine or that one?
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Like Ruth always said, life's too short to eat anywhere else.
Make a reservation online at ruthschris.com or by calling 800-544-0808.
Okay, we're back, continuing our discussion with Kim Michaels, who is in studio today, and we're talking about how Americans can take democracy to the next level. So, Kim, pick up with that discussion that we left off with.
Well, I think what I sense in Americans is that America is such a big country, and it is so self-sufficient, it is so strong, it is so dominant in the world that a lot of Americans think that nothing really bad could ever happen to America.
Of course, yeah.
And so the fact that we have won our freedom by getting democracy means it'll be there forever.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing can take it away except some kind of external enemy, but
right.
we have the biggest army, we can defend ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
See, growing up in Europe, we were much more vulnerable.
Oh, yeah.
We had Nazism.
Mm-hmm.
Denmark was occupied for 5 years. You know, everybody knew that it's not a given that you have democracy.
Absolutely.
But I don't think there's an external enemy that's going to take over democracy. But look at the internal and what's happening here.
Yeah.
And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't believe there's an evil conspiracy that's running America behind the scenes. But I just believe that there has been this mindset of elitism that has grown. It's been there from the beginning, but it's grown stronger and stronger. People, they feel they have a right to run the country behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
They have a right to deceive the people because the people aren't intelligent enough to know. It's better that they don't know what we are doing for their own good.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we need to stop.
Well, and I think until people are willing to accept that the people in power might have the very worst possible motives, then you can't get to that point. But there is an awakening. So many young people are questioning, our leaders. So many of them are disillusioned with them. And the government is pretty afraid right now. Remember at the conference they were talking about the Jade Helm, with the military sending out, all of these troops getting ready for martial law. Why would our government be preparing for martial law if they weren't afraid of people, standing up and saying enough already?
But I think it's legitimate that the government is trying to prevent some kind of anarchistic uprising because that's not really in anybody's interest.
I agree.
I'm not for violent revolutions
Absolutely.
in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But I also think that the potential for a violent uprising is because the people in general haven't woken up and taken responsibility for the government. Because I understand, in a sense, why the elite believes that they should run the country, because they believe that the people don't care.
Yeah.
That they just want to live their ordinary lives and go to work, take care of their kids, go to the beach, and then believe that the representatives are going to do all the work for
what
them.
they elected them to do.
Yeah, and that's what I think we've been sold that bill of goods, that if we just vote every 4 years, then that's all we need to do in a democracy. But that's not where our responsibility ends. It doesn't end when we leave the voting booth. It's the constant process where we need to educate ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think every single person should have one issue where they educate themselves and become an expert. You can't know everything.
That's important to them,
Yeah, something they feel for. And then they educate themselves. They know enough about it to speak intelligently to their all the people they know. And that means that if you have that, every single American will know somebody who's an expert on whatever issue comes up. So you just call up Aunt Ruthie and say, hey, what's going on with this? And then you can inform yourself. And if there is a vote on something, you don't have to take the government's word for it, because you know somebody in your family or circle of friends, and you know they're credible, and you believe what they're saying.
Wow, and it's so simple. I love that.
Yeah.
And everybody knows I got my 3 issues, that have to do with poisoning the water, the food, and the air, and then taking away, our freedom of speech. And freedom of religion. Those are really, really big for me. And I just tell everybody, look, okay, we do still have a Constitution, and we can wrap ourselves in the Constitution, but as long as you're not waiving the Constitution at the representatives, who are taking those freedoms away, what is the point in having a Constitution when you can create, bills that are unconstitutional?
Yeah. I mean, for them, the Constitution is just something you pay lip service to.
Oh, clearly.
Yeah, I think, you're saying they could have the worst interest at heart. I don't actually think that most of the people in government have the worst interest. They have good intentions, but what is the road to hell paved with?
Good intentions.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to wrap your head around the possibility that they might not have the best intentions.
Well, or even just that they have been deceived by this
themselves.
Elitist mindset, that they think that what is good for the elite is good for the people.
That's true. I mean, I agree. But I think he was referring to the elite with that quote. Okay, we're going to be back with more discussion with Kim Michaels in studio on, taking our democracy to a whole new level. You're listening to Divine Love Talk on crntalk.com. I'm your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant, with Kim Michaels from Transcendence Toolbox, and we're on Facebook at DivineLoveTalk.com. Not .com, on Facebook. Okay, we'll be back with more after commercial break.
You're experiencing pain, back pain, shoulder, elbow, or hand pain, pain from a sports injury. If so, schedule a visit with Dr. Michael Sheps, the leading expert in laser therapy for pain management. Call 310-873-4422 or go to drsheps.com. Experience Epic T, the breakthrough laser therapy system that Dr. Sheps developed to make you pain-free in less time. Laser therapy is a non-invasive, safe, and effective in-office procedure that penetrates deep into your skin without damaging the tissue. It perfectly targets areas of pain to promote fast, natural healing. Relax your muscles, ease muscle spasms, joint stiffness, and arthritis pain while increasing blood circulation. For over 25 years, Dr. Sheps has helped Olympic athletes and sports enthusiasts alike get back in the game. Schedule your visit with Dr. Sheps at his Brentwood office in California. Call 310-873-4422 or visit drsheps.com. That's DRSHEPS.com, 310-873-4422.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-351-8614. That's 800-351-8614. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-351-8614.
Homeowners, now is the season to be thinking about your roof, because all it takes is one storm to turn a small roof problem into a major leak. If it's time for a new roof, call Sears at 888-465-9720. You can save $500 if you call right now. Sears licensed, fully insured contractors can get your roofing job done right. Just call 888-465-9720. Sears has a variety of shingles and styles that are built for long-lasting performance, and you'll save $500 if you call now. So call Sears for a free in-home consultation at 888-465-9720. Hurry, offer ends soon. Not available in all areas. Installation provided by Sears authorized licensed contractors. License information available upon request. That's Sears Roofing. Call right now and save $500. Call 888-465-9720. 888-465-9720. Call Sears now and get that roof repaired. Call 888-465-9720.
Improve the look of your home for less with hardwood floors from Lumber Liquidators. Choose from over 400 styles of hardwood, bamboo, wood look tile, and more, all for a lot less than other stores. This week, get gorgeous, pre-finished 3/4-inch solid copper Hevia hardwood for $3.29 and more from 99 cents. $2 instant savings on our hottest Bellawood matte finished hardwood floors. North American and European laminate from 49 cents and more.
And 18-month special financing.
For the floor you want at the price you deserve, visit LumberLiquidators.com to find a store near you.
Let's Talk Rescue Radio. With your hosts, Christina Hackett
and Chad Atkins.
We will share the highs, lows, adventures, triumphs, and losses.
Bring light to ways you can make a difference in your rescue community.
In addition, we'll feature animals with medical needs and a couple looking for their forever homes.
Join us every Saturday on CRN1 at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or call in to be part of the conversation at 818-353-1276.
Now let's talk rescue.
Okay, we're back with more of Kim Michaels in studio. And we're talking about, how we can take democracy to a whole new level. And Kim Michaels, during a commercial break, has some great ideas. So, Kim, just jump in there.
Well, I think we have to look at the roots of American democracy and the Founding Fathers and their vision. I grew up in Denmark, and Denmark has a state church. It's a Christian Protestant state church, but most people are not religious. They are either atheists, or they just don't go to church, or they go to church for cultural reasons. And we have this illusion in Denmark that we can have a democracy where people are not religious or spiritual. Mm-hmm. And I think the Founding Fathers had great insight on that point, because they separated church and state.
For a good reason.
But they didn't rule out God from the government.
That's true, because they said one nation under God.
Yeah. And so the way I see that is that democracy is based on a basic acceptance that human beings have rights that no power on earth can take away from them, including the government. And that's essentially what you were talking about with the Constitution, you know, that the Constitution gives people rights, but
inalienable
the government has found ways to undermine that and almost take them away without people knowing it. And so we have to have that respect that there is a higher power that has given each human being rights that no body on earth can take away, including the government. Yes. And so that's where we then have to look at what struck me as a really amazing point I never thought about before. We normally say that democracy started in Athens 2,500 years ago. Right, yeah. But when you look at history, they had slavery in Athens.
They sure did.
They excluded women in Athens. Yep. There was only a small elite of people who were allowed to vote in that first democracy.
That's right.
So look at American democracy.
Same democracy.
They excluded women in the beginning.
And had
we had slavery, and we had to have the Civil War to get over that, and we're still not healed that wound.
Right.
So I think what we have to realize here that the enemy of democracy is this consciousness not only of elitism that some people are better, but also that some people should be excluded.
Absolutely.
You see, one of the things we talked about at the conference was these tensions in America between different groups.
Yeah.
And we talked about the racial issue,
the intolerance.
Yeah, the incredible intolerance. And so it's almost like that there is an elite that wants to rule.
Yes.
Because they believe they are the only ones who know.
Yeah.
And what they do is they actually deceive a large group of people by making many Americans believe that this or that group should somehow be excluded from society.
Oh, absolutely. Them versus us. And we talked about the black and white thinking, where this group is evil. And, it's like angels and demons. You're either an angel or you're a demon. And so different groups get demonized, and we forget the humanity.
Yeah, and so it's almost like you have a system where even though everybody is supposed to have rights, it's okay to discriminate against this particular group because they've done something, so they don't deserve to have the same rights as everybody else. The problem is if you allow that, you are on a slide, and before you know it, everybody has been discriminated against.
So true. And Martin Luther King, hit the nail on the head when he said that an injustice anywhere in the world is a threat to justice everywhere in the world, and that definitely applies here. And people do get caught up in this little, microcosm of their stuff, and they really believe that all of these other issues are not important because they don't affect them directly right now. They don't look at the big picture of what's at stake. And you made a really cogent point about our God-given inalienable rights. And I constantly am having to tell people, who are trying to rise into social movements and leadership positions, and when they get slammed down, by the power elite, that it's not over. We still have a Constitution, and you wrap yourself in the Constitution and your God-given right to be free. Nobody can tell you that you have to inject something into your body. I mean, what country is this?
Yeah, exactly.
That you get to tell me I need to put mercury and MSG and all kinds of poisons and formaldehyde for embalming people into my child's body in order for them to go to public school.
Yeah.
It's just insane.
Well, you look at this again with the separation of church and state, and I think this is what I see. Now for 35 years, I have been into a universal spirituality that goes beyond particular religions.
Yes.
And so I think the Founding Fathers saw the same thing, and that's why they separated church and state, because they saw from Europe for 1,000 years the Catholic Church
had dominated
the political scene.
Yeah.
And they saw that wasn't working.
Yeah.
And that's why I, in a sense, am a little bit concerned when I hear so many Americans say, America is a Christian nation.
Oh, I know, right? Because that's excluding the Muslims. That's excluding, literally New Age, because like at the campus where I was.
It's in some cases excluding everybody but
true.
the few hundred members of that particular fundamentalist church who believe they have the only literal interpretation of the Bible.
Exactly.
And so you have that's why we have all of these tensions between groups of people. And what I think the Founding Fathers wanted was to realize that as we have universal rights given by a higher authority, there is also a universal humanity in us. And I think that's what Martin Luther King was really tapped into, and Nelson Mandela the same way. It doesn't matter black or white or red or yellow.
Yeah.
There is, beyond all of these outer divisions, there is a universal humanity.
Yes.
And we need to find that. And I think the greatness of America, the greatest potential of America is that you have people from all over the world put together right here in this melting pot.
Yeah.
And we are either going to blow ourselves up or we are going to tap into that universal humanity and take this to the highest potential.
Yes, let's take the high road. That was the vision, of the Founding Fathers.
I'm convinced that the Founding Fathers had at least some of them had a really profound vision of that.
And you're right. We need a progressive form of democracy instead of this static one. And we've got a pretty basic, constitution, that protects our, freedom of speech, our right to privacy, our right to protect ourselves. And, as V for Vendetta said, the people should not be afraid of their government, and people are afraid of the government. Right now, and that's a bad place to be in, which is why things are so volatile right now with the violence, against in particular African American men, can just be shot, for walking down the street and looking black. I mean, just being black. It's very disturbing, and it creates this sense of fear that just becomes rampant. Oh my God, every African-American mother in this country is terrified about their son. As they become a teenager, is my son going to get shot down or just thrown in jail for driving while black?
And I think the problem there is that here you have a minority group that's clearly being discriminated against. Yeah. And the majority are saying, "Oh well, it doesn't affect me. What can I do about that?"
And those are just the poor black people, and they're gangs.
They must be doing something.
They
to
got to be
this
doing something
or
wrong,
whatever. And that's what Martin Luther King was pointing out, that an injustice against any group is injustice against the all. And that's what I'm saying with the universal humanity, that you realize that maybe it's this group that's being discriminated against today, but it's going to come around to me at some point.
Yeah.
So therefore, I take a stand and stop it right there before it's knocking on my door.
Well, exactly. In Frantz Fanon's book, Black Skin, White Mask, where he was talking about, what the Germans, had done and looking at it in retrospect, because he fought against all of that, was, like people said, well, when they came for the Jews, I did nothing because I wasn't Jewish, and then when they came for the blacks, I did nothing because I wasn't black, and when they came for the women, I did nothing because I wasn't a woman, and then when they came for me, there was no one to stand for me.
Exactly.
That's a powerful quote.
It's very, very powerful.
And that's what you're saying, and I've never understood that mentality because I've always been connected to the suffering of humanity, and what can I do, in my own little way that can alleviate the suffering? And so for me as an educator, I feel like, okay, that's as good as it's going to get for me in terms of my sphere of influence. I can seek to inform and educate, and I'm okay with that. Within my circle of influence, I don't have to, try to do everything.
But I think the key there is to really tap into this with a universal form of spirituality, where we are looking beyond the outer and even beyond the outer religions.
Yes.
I think we need to start looking at what are the factors in America that are dividing people and putting them against each other. And religion is a very, very big factor.
Yeah.
Because the form of religion that we have had now since the formation of the Roman Catholic Church in 381 is an exclusivist form of religion that says we have the only true church.
And we're going to heaven and you're going to hell.
And everybody else is doomed.
Yeah.
And what that means is, and this is what we saw in the Inquisition and Crusades, then it's okay to kill them.
Absolutely. If you don't belong to our group, and if you don't profess our ideology, off with your head. Yeah. But we're going to torture you first, before we...
For your own good, to save your soul.
Before we burn you or kill you.
But look at it. You have a religion based on the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not kill. Are there any conditions there? Did God say, but if these people are really bad and I don't like him, then you can kill him? Right?
No, it's like Animal Farm, when they changed the Ten Commandments and the animal said, but I thought all animals were created equal. And they said, well, all animals are created equal, but some are more equal than others.
Yeah, that's what we say in Denmark
too. Did you love that?
And that's what we got to get beyond, where we realize this, that even religion has been such a divisive issue, and we need to transcend that. I don't really believe we can take our society to the next level until we look at how religion has divided us.
I agree. And, I think I want to point out that I don't think that you're saying that people's religions need to be taken away from them.
No.
Because I don't think that it was never meant, that there would be, but there should be one universal form of spirituality where we tolerate and understand differences.
Yeah, see, I don't envision that there's going to be some new age church that's going to emerge and it's going to take over like Christianity did at some point and squash all the other religions. Yeah. I think there's going to be more diversity of religion than ever. Yeah. But it's just that the different religious groups are not going to feel threatened by each other. They're going to respect each other.
And what's wrong with that? I mean, I don't have the right to dictate to someone, what they should believe in. I don't want people telling me what to wear. I don't want people telling me how to think. Yeah. That's why I incarnated in America, because I thought I would have the freedom to be an individual.
No, all I'm saying is that I think that for democracy to really work, we need to respect each other and not discriminate against different groups. Yeah. And that's why we also need to look at religion and say we need to stop being divisive because of religion.
And this holier than thou, my religion is better than yours and I'm holier than you. And, and so I don't even try to get into any kind of discussions with people who are in these religions, especially fundamentalist kind of religions, where they'll start looking at you and there's a look that they get, of superiority, like holy, superiority. And it's like, okay, there's no point in going.
But see, that's what I'm saying. So often these discussions go into some interpretation of the Bible or specifics about this religion and that religion. But that's what I'm saying. We need to go beyond that and say it's not a matter of that. It's a matter of if you have that look, if you're discriminated against other people, you're not truly spiritual.
Thank you.
And you are, by the way, undermining the U.S. Constitution and not tying into what the Founding Fathers meant with the separation of church and state.
And freedom of religion. Yeah. Who are you to tell anybody, anything? And I think that intolerance, which is what we talked about at the conference, and the elitism, like healing that wound in the American psyche. And we're a melting pot. It's like, look at Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I love the diversity. I love the different foods. I love the different cultures, the different music, the different people, because all I see, and I love that about Joseph Campbell. He said, people just see the differences in the world religions. And he said, all I see is the similarities. I just see that, people have different names for different gods and different concepts, but we all really want the same thing. And the ideologies are essentially the same, if you take out the dogma.
Yeah. But look at Christian fundamentalism, where they will always quote what Jesus said, go out into all the world and
preach the gospel.
Yeah, and make all people my disciples.
Yes.
And he didn't mean make them all members of a particular Christian religion.
Yes.
He meant what he demonstrated, that respect for the universal humanity, because look how Jesus reached out to all of the groups that were outcasts in Jewish society.
Absolutely.
He said there's nobody who's excluded from the kingdom of God except those who exclude themselves.
Wow. Thank you for pointing that out, because the people who just do these literal interpretations, and they have no historical context. I was talking to one of the ladies at the conference, and she's an educator as well, and I always used historical context to help people understand, literature, and, she teaches art and history, and she agreed. She said, without the historical context, how can people really understand anything?
Yeah, that's very right.
They can't connect the dots, so I honestly think, if you have an educated, informed population, you would have more tolerance. you would have less elitism. And I'm talking about real education, where critical thinking is allowed. Not like on the campus where I was, where it's like no critical thinking allowed. You can only think and teach what we say you can teach. And if we don't approve it, off with your head.
Well, that's, again, this whole elitism, that there has to be a standard and everything has to be judged by that standard.
Yes, and they hold the standard, and if you don't fit that standard, they will do, by any means necessary, get rid of you.
So just look at history and look at how many societies have been based on one particular religion or ideology, and how many of those have fallen apart.
Every
single one
of them.
Every single one. And why should we be so arrogant to think that we will be any different?
Hello.
There's simply a force of history that if you close your society, it's going to disintegrate from within.
Thank you. Second law of thermodynamics.
Yep,
just
exactly.
Kicks in. We got to keep evolving. So America, okay, can we evolve beyond this divisiveness? That's all I'm saying. And Rodney King had it right. Can we just all get along?
Yeah.
How about that? Okay, you're listening to Divine Love Talk, and I am interviewing my co-host, Kim Michaels, live and in person here at CRN Talk Radio, crntalk.com. And check out Kim Michaels at TranscendenceToolbox.com. And we're on Facebook at Divine Love Talk. You can check me out at drparthenia.com.
Located in the heart of Maui's premier resort, Kaanapali Beach Hotel is officially recognized as Hawaii's most Hawaiian hotel and the #1 best value in Hawaii. With a range of accommodations and affordable dining options, this is the ideal setting to turn Hawaiian dreams into lifelong memories. Live Hawaiian entertainment every evening, free year-round children's programs, weekly arts and crafts fairs, welcome breakfast, and departure kukui lei ceremonies add to the value. Swim in the whale-shaped pool, indulge in the fabulous spa and hotel salon. Enjoy Hawaiian hospitality at its best at the Kaanapali Beach Hotel. Call 800-262-8450 or go to kvhmaui.com. That's kvhmaui.com. Aloha.
Kaanapali Beach Hotel, Maui's Hawaiian Hotel.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Have you ever considered adding a home security system but thought it would be too expensive? Here's the good news. There's never been a more affordable time to help protect your home, valuables, and your loved ones. You can now get a $100 Visa card from Protect Your Home, your authorized ADT dealer, with the installation of a new ADT monitored system. Here's even better news. Your new system, worth $850, is free. You pay just a $99 installation charge and purchase monthly monitoring for less than $2 a day. Call Protect Your Home today at 1-866-669-8954. That's 1-866-669-8954. Get the peace of mind that comes with owning an ADT monitored system, plus a $100 Visa card from Protect Your Home. Call now, 1-866-669-8954. That's 1-866-669-8954. 36-month monitoring contract required. General terms and conditions apply. Visit protectyourhome.com/terms.
Okay, this went so fast. podcast. We're wrapping this up, and I'm just enjoying having Kim Michaels in studio because we don't have that little lag, and the energy and the dynamic is so different. When you're facing each other,
a lot more fun,
right? And it was like the difference, like with your conferences, being there in person and feeling the energetic and the dynamic, of the information that's flowing through you versus, of course we can always listen to them on the MP3, but it's just a different dynamic. And then also just being able to interact, on a human level with all the people there. That's what's so special.
Yeah, and the interaction, I think, actually is a very good point, because what happens when we are divided, like we've been talking about, is that people make assumptions about other groups. Mm-hmm. Oh, they are all like that.
Yes.
And there is no direct interaction.
Yes.
Your
Nothing
ideas
to
are never
contradict
challenged.
It. Yeah,
exactly. And so that's when you cut off the interaction, that's when you can't see that universal humanity.
Yes.
And then you get locked into these mind traps. And I think that's really the only problem in democracies is that people have just been locked into this loop in the mind where we don't see really what the problem is.
Yeah.
And it's just like Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale about the Emperor's New Clothes.
Yes.
There needs somebody to come in and say, hey, guys, wake up and look at this.
And the emperor has no clothes on.
Yeah, the elite has nothing on,
And I've always been that one. I was always that kid. Hey, wait a minute. Yeah. How come I'm the only one that sees this?
But how about having thousands of people all across America be the little boy who says,
yes,
the elite has nothing on, and it's time we take back democracy.
Yeah, so I'm saying, okay, here at Divine Love Talk, join me in exposing, the people that are walking around and pretending that they're something that they're not. Because that's what the Emperor's New Clothes, another message about that is, you have people that are just going to bamboozle you.
Yeah, they put on a facade and then they make people believe it.
Yeah.
And nobody dares to say.
To question it.
Yeah, this is a bunch of whatever.
Yeah. And so I say question reality, and what I've always told my students when I walk into the classroom, don't you believe a word I say. You question everything I say, because I could have it all wrong. And next week I will come back and go, oh, scratch that. Okay, I got new information, and so now let's take it to the next level. But it's always evolving, and that's that constant self-transcendence that you talk about.
Yes, and that's because you're the kind of person who you don't want people to believe in something. You want them to think for themselves.
Exactly, and
question. That is the only thing that's going to make democracy work.
Yes.
People do that.
Yeah, and always have open dialogue. It's important for me, the people that are polarized over here, to talk about it. Let's hear it, and then now listen to the other side, and then maybe we can come somewhere together in the middle. That's the fun of it all.
Yeah,
it's just kind of waking up, to their other ideas out there.
And that's what I mean. When you grasp that universal humanity, you're not going to judge other people without talking to them.
Exactly.
And it's really, the problem is when groups of people don't talk to each other, that's where the gun is the only solution.
There you go. Thank you so much, Kim Michaels. This has just been delightful and heartwarming. It went too fast. And so I'm going to actually be able to have Kim Michaels back. I'm going to ask my producer to reschedule the other person so we can have Kim Michaels back next week. Yay. Okay.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you. You've been listening to Divine Love Talk on CRN. I am your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant. Kim Michaels is at TranscendenceToolbox.com. And you can find me at drparthenia.com, spell out the word doctor. And we're on Facebook at Divine Love Talk. And my personal page is Parthenia Onassis Grant. You can check me out there. I'd love to hear from you guys and get more feedback from you. Send us questions. If you want Kim Michaels to answer questions, divinelovetalk@gmail.com. Send your questions in or hit me up on Facebook. And we're happy to address your issues. We will see you next week with more of Kim Michaels live in studio. Yay. Thank you again, and just for joining us.
Yeah, thank you all.
Which was most